Have you ever met someone who just gets you on a level that feels almost supernatural? Like they can sense your emotions before you even know what you're feeling. And when they love you, it's with an intensity that takes your breath away? Well, if you've experienced this with someone who has AuDHD, that's autism and ADHD combined, there's actual neuroscience behind why these relationships feel so profoundly different. AuDHD individuals often form connections that can be remarkably deep, authentic, and transformative, creating bonds that feel genuinely unique. Today, we're diving into 5 reasons why AuDHD individuals can create some of the most genuine, soul deep relationships you'll ever encounter. And here's what's fascinating: it's not despite their neurodivergence, but because of it. Their unique brain wiring creates a perfect storm of traits that, when understood and appreciated, lead to connections that are nothing short of extraordinary. And number 5, it completely flips everything you thought you knew about loyalty and commitment. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand why some of the most meaningful relationships in your life might just be with someone whose brain works beautifully differently. First up, AuDHD individuals experience emotions with an intensity that creates unbreakable bonds. Now, here's where the research gets interesting. Dr. Michelle Mowry's 2016 research on emotional dysregulation in ADHD found that individuals with ADHD experience emotions more intensely and for longer durations than neurotypical individuals. Meanwhile, studies published in the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders have consistently documented heightened emotional sensitivity in autistic individuals. And here's what's wild about this. While most people might see emotional intensity as overwhelming, ADHD individuals use this superpower to create connections that feel almost telepathic. You know that feeling when you're having a rough day and haven't said anything, but somehow they just know? That's because their heightened emotional processing doesn't just make them feel their own emotions more intensely, it makes them incredibly attuned to yours. Research from the University of Cambridge shows that many autistic individuals demonstrate enhanced empathy, particularly emotional empathy, once they understand what someone is feeling. They're not just listening to your words, they're reading your entire emotional landscape like a book. And this is where it gets really interesting. When someone can see your feelings that clearly, the connection you form with them transcends surface level small talk and goes straight to the heart of who you really are. Most people don't realize that this emotional intensity isn't a bug, it's a feature. Number 2 will change how you think about authenticity. They create safe spaces where you can drop all your masks. Here's something most people don't realize. Research by Dr. Julia Rude and colleagues published in Autism and Adulthood found that masking behaviors are common in both autism and ADHD, requiring significant mental energy to maintain socially acceptable presentations. But here's the twist: because they understand how exhausting it is to constantly perform a version of yourself, they become the safest people to be completely authentic with. Studies on masking consistently show that ADHD individuals naturally become safe space creators, people who offer unconditional acceptance where there's no pressure to perform. Think about it. How many people can you truly be yourself around? I mean, completely yourself, messy, imperfect, having a meltdown on a Tuesday because your coffee shop ran out of oat milk? ADHD individuals don't just tolerate your authentic self, they celebrate it because they know how rare and precious it is when someone lets their guard down. And here's the crazy part: when you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't expect you to perform, you actually become a better version of yourself, not a fake version. But wait until you hear what their pattern recognition abilities can do. Third, and this one's fascinating, their pattern recognition creates almost psychic level understanding. Simon Baron Cohen's groundbreaking research on systemizing in autism demonstrates that autistic individuals show enhanced abilities to identify patterns and analyze systems. Meanwhile, research published in Clinical Psychological Science shows that individuals with ADHD often display heightened sensitivity to environmental changes and subtle shifts in their surroundings. Combined, they become relationship detectives who can read between the lines in ways that seem almost supernatural. What does this mean for relationships? They notice when your smile doesn't reach your eyes. They pick up on the fact that you've been texting differently for 3 days. They sense when you're stressed before you even realize it yourself. It's like having a partner who speaks fluent you. They understand your patterns, your rhythms, your subtle signals that everyone else misses. And when someone truly sees you that clearly, it creates a level of intimacy that most people spend years trying to build. But if you think that's impressive, wait until you see what happens when two neurodivergent brains connect. Here's number 4, and it's going to change how you think about neurodivergent connections. They form the strongest bonds with other neurodivergent people, creating what researchers call neurotype compatibility. While formal research on this specific phenomenon is still developing, extensive community surveys and clinical observations consistently document that neurodivergent individuals report feeling particularly understood and accepted in relationships with others who share similar neurological differences. But here's what's really interesting: it's not just about shared experiences, it's about shared brain language. When two neurodivergent people connect, they're not constantly translating their thoughts into neurotypical speak. They can communicate in their natural patterns: the ADHD rapid fire idea connections, the autistic deep dives into special interests, the emotional intensity that might overwhelm others but feels perfectly normal between them. Many describe it as finally being able to speak your native language after years of struggling with a foreign one. These relationships often develop faster and deeper because there's less energy spent on masking and more energy available for genuine connection. It's not that they can't form meaningful relationships with neurotypical people, it's that with other neurodivergent individuals, the connection happens at light speed. And speaking of intensity. Finally, number 5, the one that completely redefines loyalty. Their hyperfocus creates devotion that borders on the extraordinary. Here's where the ADHD component really shines in relationships. You know how people with ADHD can hyperfocus on their interests for hours? Well, research published in Current Psychology shows that the same dopamine-driven reward system that creates hyperfocus also becomes highly activated when ADHD individuals form strong emotional attachments. It's not just that they care about you, you literally become one of their favorite things to focus on. This means when an AUDHD person loves you, they don't just remember your birthday, they remember that you mentioned liking a specific type of pen 3 months ago and surprise you with it. But here's the really wild part: this hyper-focus-driven loyalty means they're thinking about your well-being, your happiness, your growth, even when you're not around. Dr. Russell Barkley's research on ADHD emotional regulation notes that individuals with ADHD often demonstrate intense persistence and loyalty in their close relationships. Once strong bonds are formed, they're not just present when it's convenient. They're present in a way that feels almost protective, like they've appointed themselves as your personal champion in the world. So there you have it, 5 reasons why AuDHD individuals create relationships that are deeper, more authentic, and more transformative than most people ever experience. From their emotional intensity that creates unbreakable bonds, to their ability to create safe spaces for authenticity, to their pattern recognition that leads to almost psychic understanding, to their natural compatibility with other neurodivergent minds, and finally to their hyper-focus-driven loyalty that redefines what commitment looks like. If you know someone with AUDHD who's changed your life in ways you're still trying to understand, drop a comment below and tell us about it. These stories matter, and they help break down the misconceptions about neurodivergent relationships. Until next time, remember, the deepest connections often happen when we stop trying to fit into neurotypical molds and start celebrating the beautiful ways our brains are designed to love.